Oh, and I'm gonna sit my butt up a little higher. Okay, so today I've been thinking about things that are probably not something we ordinarily think about, but only I've been thinking about it for a number of reasons. First, I got my benefits package and they're having me pick out all these different things. And like working for a retirement company, most of them have to do with retirement and death. And so I'm sitting here going, okay, I don't know what health insurance to pick out. I don't know which retirement package to pick out. I don't know what insurance to pick out because I've never had any of these things. And then the second thing that came up was I was in a conversation, or I don't know if you stayed for Minion. I've been attending Roberta's Minion group. And this week they were talking about ethical wills. And then the conversation extended a lot longer. And an ethical will basically is like what you want to leave people other than assets after you die. You know, basically what you value, what you hold dear to you. So that's the second thing. And then the third thing, this all comes around, is I've been taking a class on nonviolent communication. And the theory of all of that has been that there are two things that all of us want. The first one is a sense of connection. We want to feel like we belong to someone, that like someone will miss us when we're gone, that we have an authentic relationship with another. And then the other thing that we all apparently want is authentic expression. So even if we've got a relationship with somebody, you got to know me and I got to know you. And there's this like whole other thing that comes up. And so what I've been thinking about is this notion of something that the facilitator Yoram said. He said that so often we desire connection at the expense of authentic expression, or we desire authentic expression at the expense of connection. And so I've been trying to think, how do we balance these things? How can we show up fully in our relationship so that we feel seen, so that we feel heard? Because if you're not yourself, you can be around all the people in the world and feel completely alone. And then at the same time, if you're that person that nobody wants to be around, that's not so great either. So today I thought we would just say, each one of us, one thing we wish another person knew about us. Because one of the things I found interesting about the ethical will discussion was this notion that, you know, when I'm gone, these are the things I wish you'd known about me, or here's the love and the wisdom and the advice that I want to pass on. Well, that's not helpful. I mean, it is, but like, why not tell me that while you still can share that with me? The other thing with the benefits package is all of it's about like taking care of, loving the people once you're gone so that they know how much you cared for them. And again, why not just say it right here and now? And then the third one is like, how can we authentically connect with one another so that, you know, we feel like we are our full, most vibrant, alive, alert self, and at the same time, really welcomed and loved and appreciated for that. So since there are only 4 of us today, we're each going to say one thing you wish us as a community to know about you, one thing you value, one thing that's just an integral part of you. So who would like to go first? So Roberta said I should go first because I've had the longest to think about it. So I think one of the things that I value the most is really authenticity. You know, I do value people being able to be their best versions of themselves, and I value me being able to be the best version of myself. And that's probably why I do like all the crazy little things that I do so that I can find my own expression. Cool. Who wants to go next? It could be anything. It could be like, I value good food because it makes me feel nourished. It could be, I value, you know, really spending time with people that I love so that they know that I care about them, or the environment, or politics, or whatever you think you value.
I value good hugs.
Roberta values good hugs. Cool. Why?
Because it's a sharing of space.
Okay.
And there's only certain people you do that with, right? Like it's an expression of I value you and more than these other people.
Cool.
And it's and some people I know, but like I value having you as part of my life.
Cool. So Roberta values hugs because it's a sense of connection as well as shared space. And it's also not something you do with everybody. So there's a sense of specialness to that. So valuing intimate relationships. Anyone else?
I'm trying to think of how to think. So it's kind of sound like multiple values, but I think that it kind of all hangs together. But I value like showing up and commitment in the interest of pro-social community kinds of behaviors, right? Like kind of
Yeah.
like this, we're in it together, your actions and intentions being in the service of not just yourself, but your community, trying to promote, promoting your community promotes you. And I think that maybe isn't surprising to people, but like I'm also very much introverted. So like, I do these things, but I also want to have a lot of my alone time, which I think those actually go together.
So what Jenny said is that she values a sense of pro-social connection. So that connection, it sounds like has a sense of responsibility to everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
So they can hear you. I took these out and turned that mic on. So that there's a sense of connection, like we're all in it together, and you respect people that are able to do their part, as well as give you the opportunity to go do your part and take care of yourself by being alone if you're having an introverted moment. Mm-hmm. Nice, awesome. Okay. What about you two? Either Steve or Barbara. Otherwise, we can just move on.
I'm unmuted, so I'll go.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Steve.
I really like what Roberta said. I like hugs, but even more so, I was at an award ceremony. It was kind of the first. It was for the Bar Association, and they were honoring a lot of people who had done pro bono work and worked for the community. And do you want me to keep going?
Yes.
I just wanted them to hear you. All right. Anyway, so it was an award ceremony, and a whole variety of people were being honored by the Denver Bar Association. And I went there, and I knew most of the people who were being honored, and most of the people who I knew were being honored for their work pro bono, helping people, giving of their time, because that's really the most valuable thing you can do, is give someone your time. So, as I thought about it, and my struggle's been, I can't, the place I work, it's very difficult to do that. So I would say I really value people who have the strength to give of themselves. So I'll just kind of leave it at that, but hugs are where it's at.
Next time I see you, Steve.
Okay. I'm ready.
And then Barbara, what about you?
I value being with groups, but it's not so much as the introvert that I am, needing to talk to lots of people, but having gathered with kind of a common purpose. I think of our Saturday mornings. I think of our choir gathering with the church on Sunday morning and being part of it, but my contribution is often through my music. So
Cool. So it sounds like for the both of you, you value contribution, and you value like people that give of themselves. And Barbara, it sounds like you value being in a sacred community where there is a communal act. Kind of like Jenny's.
Yeah, that was resonating with that.
Cool. Awesome sauce. So we're going to work on standing poses today so we can stand in that, because I think what's important for all of us to know is that the more that we can show up, the more we have the capacity to really allow that thing to become full in our lives and to be known for that value, to be seen for that value. So to that end, we're going to start with paying attention to our feet, and then we're going to do a lot of standing poses. So I'm going to turn this back off. And
I can't hear you.
Steve, can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Great. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and start. So the first thing that we're going to do is just pay attention to our feet, and you're going to do whatever feels best to you. And the only reason we're paying any attention to our feet is our feet are our foundations. A lot of times I think many of us, myself included, get involved in things, but we don't take the time to really set the foundation. And so our stable or our structures are not as stable as they could be. So most of you know lots of different things that you can do, and you're just going to do what feels good to you in this moment. Are you valuing space? Are you valuing movement? Are you valuing a little bit of pressure? But you're allowing yourself to explore how your feet are feeling in this moment and just attending to them in the best way that you can. And then after you've done one foot, you're going to bring that same foot in front of you. So some of us are working with our right foot, some of us are working with our left, and you're going to lean as far forward as you can until your heel comes up and away from the floor just a little bit. And then just reach the heel down to the floor behind you so you can feel a nice stretch happening on the back of that same Achilles. And you're just pausing and you're breathing. And then gently, you'll come back onto your butt, and we'll just go ahead and switch sides. So the funny thing is, though, it's like I think a lot of us value the same thing. We value having connection. We value feeling seen and being able to contribute. We value others doing their part to help socially acceptable things and help society as a whole. And yet, why don't we speak up? Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. And I don't know, like Barbara, I'm very much an introvert, very much. I need lots of time to myself. But that doesn't.
Became a yoga instructor.
I know, right? So Roberta made the joke. I became a yoga instructor because I'm so much of an introvert. Well, I don't know. I feel like there are a lot of performers. Once you're done with that foot, you can bring it forward. And then you're just going to gently shift your weight forward enough so that that heel can come up and away from the floor. And then you're reaching the heel back down. So just finding a gentle stretch at the back of the Achilles and the heel. Awesome sauce. And then gently go ahead and come back down, draw both soles of the feet together and let your knees open and splay. So we're going to do a lot of standing poses, but we just need to find out how Baddha Konasana is working for us right now. And then we'll go ahead, draw the knees together, plant the feet on the floor, separate the feet a little wider than your hips, and you're going to crawl forward into an awkward little squat. Yep. Now we're sitting on a blanket, most of us. So if you need to put a blanket underneath your heels, by all means do that. Otherwise, you're just going to bring your hands into the heart, push the elbows into the arms, push the arms into the elbow, and see if you can lift up. And then you're just going to pause here so the inner thighs open a little bit more. You got one more breath cycle here. And then when you're ready to come out of it, hands are going to come to the floor. You're going to shift your pelvis back, lift your hips high, hands come forward into a weird, small, downward facing dog-ish shape. And then go ahead and shift around, bending one knee, bending the other, doing whatever feels good to you here in this slightly awkward-ish shape. And you're just noticing what it feels like to really root down into the feet. Gradually, you might start to draw more weight into the hands and walk your feet back until you find yourself into your downward facing dog. And your feet can be as wide or as narrow as they wish to be. But you're going to then continue to pedal through the feet. What are the small movements that you need to do in order to feel comfortable and confident to show up in life, however you wish to be known, whatever the things you wish to be recalled and remembered for. Awesome sauce. And you'll just take 2 more breath cycles here, noticing that perhaps you haven't been paying too much attention to your breath. So see if you can come to that. And then very gently, you'll come to a still neutral spot. Let's go ahead and inhale and come forward into plank pose. And then exhale, lower your knees to the mat. Take a tabletop position and then just take some cats, some cows, anything that allows the body to, again, find a sense of authenticity to it. So as I said last week, I've been watching or listening to this podcast called We Can Do Hard Things. And the theme song has this phrase that says, in order to be loved, we need to be known. And so you're just going to allow yourself in these next few breath cycles to know your body, to love the body by moving it in any way that feels good to you. You might take some twists. You might press back to a child's pose. You might come to a lazy upward facing dog, but everything you do is a conscious act of knowing and thus loving the body, loving the little temple that you're living in at this moment. And then let's go ahead and come to a still neutral spot. Send your right foot back, tuck the toes under. Go ahead and pulse back through that heel for a little bit. And you're just noticing what it feels like to go back and forth, how the wrists are reacting, how the back, the right calf is reacting. Go ahead and come to a still neutral spot. Take a big breath in. Lift up through your inner armpits. Step your left foot back to meet your right and pause. Lift up through the inner thighs. Yep. Lengthen your tailbone back and heart and sternum forward and see if you can find your breath. Can you hear the breath? Can you even out the breath? Notice if your wrist crease can be parallel to the top of your mat and see if that impacts how your wrists feel. Continue to lift up through the inner armpits, and on your next exhale, bend the knees. Inhale, pelvis up and back, downward facing dog, 3 breaths. And then you're just taking a moment to pause here. You're taking a moment to breathe. How is it that you wish to be known and experienced in your own life and your own body in this moment? Nice work. Next in-breath, gaze to your hands. As you exhale, empty all the breath and step or float top of space. Nice. From here, separate your feet, hip distance apart. Either grab opposite elbow or not, but draw the weight forward in your feet so it's balanced between your heels and your toes. Notice if you can empty out the belly with every exhale and let your head just drop. Nice work. You might still be in stillness. You might move around a little bit, but you're just checking in and you're seeing how you feel. One of the things that Yoram said that I found so fascinating was that in connection, we fear losing it so much that we silence ourselves. But what he said was that it was easier to be honest with complete strangers than it was to be honest with those closest to us. So you'll just take one more breath cycle here, noticing that the closest person you will ever be close to is the person on your mat. And then you'll see how you can be a little bit more open to accepting or being aware of what's happening here. Nice work. Gently release your hands to the floor. Inhale, lift your spine halfway, Ardha Uttanasana, pause. Exhale, draw the breath in, the navel in. Inhale, sternum reaches forward, shoulder blades draw away, nice job. On your next exhalation, bend your knees a little bit, shift your pelvis back, your crown forward. Draw your hands to your hips and either bring the spine all the way up to vertical for chair, reaching arms forward or keeping them at your hips. Now bring your awareness to your feet. This is your foundation. What do you want to stand for? Do you need to spread the toes wide and then spread wide through the soles of the feet in order to find a firm rooting? Can you lengthen down through the tail, draw the front ribs up and back, and then reach out through those pinky fingers? We have the power and the courage to stand for what we wish. Nice job. Next in-breath, stand up, reach up, look up. And as you exhale, stay here, drop your tailbone. Yep, draw the front ribs in and back. And then I want you to move around like a reed in the water in whatever way feels good to you, finding a little bit more movement, a little bit more expression. And then check in with that breath. Do you still hear it? Do you still feel it? Once you feel balanced with all of that, go ahead and come to a still neutral spot. Draw your hands to heart center. And then just draw your awareness back to your feet, noticing the awareness of the soles of the feet, the big toe mounds, the pinky toe mounds, the inner and the outer edges. Nice work. All right, let's go ahead and turn to face the left side of our mat. Grab both of your blocks and bring one to the top, one to the back. And then you're going to separate your feet about 3 feet apart. Great. Roberta, you might want to move that block off just a little bit. Cool. Start by turning your left toes in towards the right, your right toes out towards the right, and then see if you need to widen your feet a little further apart, either right to left or front to back. And your hands are first going to come onto your hips and check in with that front knee. Great. From here, we're going to bend into that front leg. Awesome. Check in with your left hip. So sometimes the left hip can splay forward. See if you can integrate that in and back, even if it's still spiraling to the left, and then push down onto the knife edge of your back foot. Draw your right hand to the outside edge of your right thigh. Push your right hand into your right knee into your right hand. Yep. And so you're pushing that hand out as you push the knee. Yep. So hand pushes in, knee pushes out a lot until you feel that outer leg tone. From there, you'll lift both arms up parallel to the floor. See if you can reach back through the back arm as much as you reach through the front arm. Yep. And on your next in breath, reach your right arm up, lower your left arm down. So instead of a side bend, let's do a Molly ring wall here. So you're going to reach straight up through that right side body, finding length in the right rib cage, drawing the front ribs back and continuing to isometrically push out into that imaginary hand. Nice work. Notice your breath. Next in breath, come back to vertical, both arms parallel to the floor. As you exhale, reach out through your right arm, lower the right hand inside the right thigh, sweep the left arm over your head. Great, you can bend that right elbow and rest the forearm on the thigh if you'd like, but you're gonna keep pressing down into that left foot. And then you'll keep pressing back into that right knee. And you'll notice that the more you can push down into the back foot, the more you can push out into that imaginary hand, you can wrap those right ribs under, and then maybe turn your left palm to face the floor and sweep it alongside your ears. And again, you're taking in a deeper breath. How can you find more expression standing in your truth of who you are at this moment? Nice work. Next in breath, go ahead and come back up, Virabhadrasana 2. Keep that bend in the front knee just a little bit longer, noticing the strength on that front leg. And as you inhale, straighten the front leg. Exhale, turn both toes to face the short edge of your mat. And then lower the hands and take a moment to breathe. And then you just notice, how did that feel? That was a lot of stuff happening on one leg, and don't worry, we're gonna do more. So turn the left toes to the left, the right toes in. The first thing that you're gonna do is notice if you need to widen your stance for you or lengthen your stance for you. Then from there, go ahead and start to bend into that front knee. Now, once we started bending into our left knee, notice if that right hip is like popping forward. It can still internally rotate, but we wanna hold it back. And then you'll draw the left hand to the outside edge of your left thigh. Really push that hand into the thigh into the hand. You're still internally rotating that back leg. Yep, and then once you've got that, notice if you can soften your face. Open both arms out to the right and to the left, and then press like crazy into the back foot. Nice job. Next in breath, inhale, reach up through your left arm, lower the right hand to touch the right thigh, so superstar it. And by that, I mean that you're reaching up so much through your left hand, yep, that you're like doing that Hamilton poster. You're getting a lot taller through that side body. Next in breath, both arms come parallel to the floor. And then as you exhale, reach out through that left arm. Left forearm might come to the left thigh. Left fingers might reach to the floor. Wherever you are, yep, you're going to push into that knife edge of the back foot. You're going to push out into that left knee and hug it back. Yep. And then from there, you're going to see if you can find more length on your underside body, finding space for you to express yourself. Right palm reaches down, and then find your breath. And you might find a fun stretch happening across. Yeah, that looks nice. Find a nice stretch happening across the front of your right hip. Nice job, guys. Next in breath, come back up, Virabhadrasana 2, Warrior 2. Keep that front knee bent. Pause for a moment. Nice work. As you inhale, straighten that front leg. Turn both feet in parallel to the short edges of your mat. Lower the hands just for a moment and pause and breathe. How are you in this moment? How is the breath? How are you doing? Awesome sauce. Let's go ahead and add on. Go ahead and turn your left toes in, your right toes out. So we're going back to the first side. And this time we're going to take our feet and make sure they are still as wide as we need them to be. Our blocks are somewhere easily accessible if we need to. Push into the back foot, push into the front foot, suck those points together, and then arms open out once again. And then we're going to take Hamilton. So inhale, reach up through right arm, lower that left arm down. As you exhale, draw the front ribs in and back, lengthen up more through your right arm. And then next in breath, reach out forward, out and down, and fingers come to shin, block, or perhaps floor. Pause. Nice job. Now we're going to imagine that we're still pushing onto that left pinky foot, left pinky toe, toning from the left hip down to the outer left foot. Nice job. And then my hypermobile people, top of right shin comes forward just a smidge. You squeeze that outer right hip back. Yep. And then find length on the underside body. So the right ribs come under. Left ribs go up. And you're just pausing in your breathing. What does it take for you to stand in integrity, open-hearted, full of life, connected, and yet fully yourself? Nice work. Next in breath, take that left arm, lower it to your left hip. Turn your gaze down towards the floor. Highly encourage you to bring your hand to the floor or the block, but you're going to bend that front knee, shift your weight forward, step your right hand off the mat to the right, lift your back leg parallel to the floor. Awesome sauce. So you might still be holding on to that left hip with the left hand. You might not, but I want you to see if you can push into your big toe mound a lot on that right foot. Hug your outer right hip back like you're pushing into your hand, and then lift up through that inner left thigh. From there, you might lift your right ribs under, your left ribs up. Yup, you might float your left hand up, and half moon, here we go. And you're just pausing and you're breathing, standing in full expression of your truth. Nice job. Gently draw that left hand back to your left hip. Look down to the floor, bend your right knee, carefully step long and back to triangle pose, sliding the left or right hand back. Yep. And then gently opening up through that top arm. Awesome sauce. Now here's our variation for this side. As you inhale, extend your left arm back. As you exhale, draw your low belly in, and then inhale, the right arm comes parallel to the floor first to come back up to Hamilton, and then back to normal. Nice job. Turn both feet parallel to the short edges of your mat. Lower your hands and just notice what that took for you to do all of that. Sometimes when we stand up, stand in our truth, it takes a lot of energy, but then notice what's released as a result. How do you feel? What's alive? What's alert? What's active? Yay. Let's go ahead and try the other side. So turn your left toes to the left. Right toes in just a smidge, and then notice if you need to separate your feet a little bit, right to left, front to back, whatever works for you. Press down through from your left sit bone to your left big toe. And let's everyone try this on this side. Everyone lift your front heel just a bit. Notice how your calf in comes online. Keep that, but lower the heel back down. Keep your kneecap pulling up. Yeah, okay. From there, go ahead and inhale, lift left arm up, lower right arm down, little Hamilton for a moment, drawing the front ribs in and back, tailbone lengthens down. On your next inhalation, you'll reach forward, out, and down, coming into Utthita Trikonasana. We might go ahead and extend up through that top arm. Awesome sauce. Now, pay attention to the breath. Do you hear the in-breath? Do you hear the out-breath? Sometimes what I think keeps many of us from speaking our truth is we disconnect from our breath, and that instigates a sense of fear. So how can we keep the breath calm and steady? And then you press from your right hip to your right pinky toe. You press from your left hip to your left big toe. You find a little bit more length on the under left side body so that the left ribs can come under, the right ribs can come up. And then notice if you need to draw your chin into your chest just a little bit and lengthen the heart forward, the head back. Nice job. Next in breath, draw your top hand to your top hip. Turn your gaze down towards the floor, bend the front knee, shift your hand block thing forward and to the left, shift your weight forward and float your right leg up. Nice job. Keep that back leg super active, super engaged. Draw that outer left hip back, the inner right thigh lifts, and then maybe you might find that you can lift your left side body a little bit more to stack your right shoulder on top. Maybe float your right arm on top, and you'll pause and you'll breathe. Nice job, guys. Notice your breath. Steady the breath, pushing that left big toe. Nice work. On your next exhale, draw your right hand to your right hip. Turn the gaze to the floor, bend your right knee, carefully step back, triangle pose, sliding the block back as you go. Nice work. And you'll just take a moment to pause. You'll take a moment to breathe. You'll notice how you can come back into this expansive pose. Next inhalation, our top arm sweeps back towards our hip. As you exhale, draw the low belly in, and then inhale, slide that left arm forward, come back up to Hamilton. And then lower the hand down, both hands, lower both feet parallel, close your eyes and breathe. How much were you holding your breath through all of that? Our expression does not need to come at the expense of our full vivacity as a person, our full aliveness. It can be a part of it. And so we're just going to see how we can build on to that. All right, let's go ahead and add on. Turn your right toes to the right, turn your left toes to the right. This time, bring both hands to your hips. And then you're going to start to pivot your whole pelvis to the top of your mat and widen that left foot out as much as you need to come to warrior one. Great. Now, just as we start here, first thing you're going to do is notice what's happening in that back leg. Can you really root down through the pinky toe edge of the back foot? Do you notice if that outer left hip can spiral forward? Yep. And then maybe you might want to bring your right hand to your right hip to push the right knee, to push the right knee out towards the right as you hug it in towards the left. Nice. Now from here, shift your torso forward just an inch, very little, just an inch. Draw your front ribs in and back and lift your ribs up and away from your hips. Nice. From here, lift your left arm up and overhead. Little Hamilton variation here. So you're reaching up, finding length on the psoas on the left side. Yep. And you'll notice that that creates a slight rotation of the chest. Good job. Take a big breath in here. On your next exhale, start to straighten that front leg long. And then inhale, reach out through your left arm and lower the left hand to the floor or the block underneath your left shoulder. So we might need to walk that in just a bit. Great. And then you're going to pause. My hypermobile people, the top of your right shin comes forward just a smidge. You still keep that as you hug your outer right hip back, your inner left thigh up, and then notice if you can breathe. From there, see if heart and sternum can reach forward. And on your next exhalation, you might start to push down into that left hand to stack your right shoulder towards the right. Now, we haven't done a lot of twists, so it's not going to go very far. How can we remind ourselves that our expression is a gradual thing? It takes time. We're building our strength. We're building our capacity. Nice job. Next in-breath, gaze comes back down to the floor. Start to straighten that front leg if it's bent a little bit, and then reach forward and out through the left arm to come all the way back up to that weird pyramid shape. Awesome sauce. Go ahead and straighten that front leg if it's not, and turn to face the side of your mat. And you'll pause and breathe. Notice that your feet have to be readjusted. It's such a great analogy. Every aspect of life, sometimes there's a constant shift that has to happen, and that's okay. And so as you're here, you might be moving around in the torso and the shoulders. You might be completely still, but you're giving yourself permission to really just be with who you are as you are at this moment, and giving ourselves permission to show that to others how we wish to be remembered. All right, let's go ahead and try the other side. So start by turning your left toes to the left, your right toes to the left, and then separating your feet as wide as you need them right to left as you turn your pelvis to face the back of your mat. Great. And then the first thing that you're going to do is just notice first if this width is good for you, if this length is good for you. And then you'll start to bend into that front knee. Once you started to bend into that front knee, first attention comes to the pinky toe edge of the right foot, pressing out into that pinky toe. Then you'll notice that that outer right hip can start to come forward as the inner right thigh lifts back. And it almost feels like some of you might want to bring your left hand to your outer left thigh, and you can press out into that thigh. Yep, and that helps you steer the pelvis a little bit more towards the back of the space. Great. From there, heart comes forward just a little bit, and then reach your right arm forward and up, finding Hamilton length along your psoas. So the more you can reach up through that right arm as you push down through your right pinky toe and draw those front ribs in and back, you might, find a nice length across the front of your right hip. Nice job, guys. Can you find your breath? Can you hear your breath? Nice work. Inhale, stand up, reach up, look up. And then go ahead and straighten that front leg as you exhale. Inhale, reach forward, out and down, and coming into a modified pyramid pose. And block goes underneath your right shoulder, and you'll pause. And then just as we did before, my hypermobile friend's top of left shin comes forward. Outer left hip comes back. Yep. And outer right hip comes forward. Nice job, guys. Then from there, continue to push into the back foot. Reach your heart and sternum forward. And as you're ready, you might push down into the right hand to scoop the right low belly just a smidge to indicate that the right shoulder might come, or sorry, left shoulder might come on top of the right. And you'll just pause and you'll breathe and you'll notice what you notice. Barbara, lift your outer right hip up a little bit more. So that's the back leg. Yep. And keep that, but draw your outer left hip back and in. Yeah, there you go. On your next in breath, go ahead and turn your gaze back down to the floor. And then draw the belly in as you exhale. Next in breath, reach forward through that right hand coming all the way up. Hooray. And then turn to face the long edge of your mat and pause. Notice what you notice. How is the breath? How is your sense of expression now? Awesome sauce. Let's go ahead and add on. Next in breath, go ahead and shorten your feet just a little bit. So just a smidge. Great. Turn your right toes to the right. Turn your left toes to the right. So weird-ish warrior one. And then go ahead and bend that front knee. Reach both arms up and overhead. So we took this shorter stance because you're going to need this in a moment. So lift up through both arms. As you exhale, shift your weight forward just a smidge, almost 90 degree angle, 45-degree angle. And you're going to draw your front ribs in and back. Yep, you're going to continue to push down into your front big toe, lift up through your back, inner left thigh. Next in breath, shift your weight forward even more. As you exhale, float forward into warrior three. Yep. Lift through that back foot, squaring the hips as best as you can. Nice job, guys. Next inhalation, go ahead and bend the knee. As you exhale, step the foot back and inhale back to warrior one. Nice job. Take a moment to pause. Take a moment to breathe. Oh yeah, we were holding our breath through all of that. Next in breath, straighten the front leg, turn to face the long edge of your mat and pause. Reopen the feet, reopen the arms, and just pause and breathe. I think it's one of those things that we gradually have to give ourselves permission to be a little bit more fully ourselves, try something that's kind of scary. And I don't know about you, but telling certain people how I feel, it's really quite scary. So we'll go ahead and try that on the other side. So left toes turn to the left, right toes turn to the left. Separate your feet as much as you need to right to left, but make sure it's a little bit more of a shallow stance. It helps with that transition. And then we'll go ahead and reach both arms up and overhead for Virba one. And then just first find your breath. So we're not thinking all these crazy things. We're thinking first, how can I be connected to my breath? How can my breath be full? How can my breath be even? And then on your next in-breath, find a little bit more length through your arms, through your spine, and exhale, start to hinge your spine forward to about a 45-degree angle. Reach out through the arms, take in a deep breath. And on your next exhale, you'll shift the weight forward even more, float that back leg up, yep, kick back through that right foot, reach forward through the arms, or maybe even bring the hands alongside your hips if you need to. Wobbling's okay. Take a big breath in. Next exhale, bend the front knee, step back, coming into a warrior one. Nice job. Go ahead and straighten that front leg. Turn to face the long edge of your mat, lower your arms, close your eyes, and pause. 3 big, loud breaths here. What are the things that allow us to show up, and what are the things that sometimes scare us? Everything before we've done it feels a little frightening, but that doesn't mean we can't do it. One more deep, steady breath cycle. Great. All right, guys, let's go ahead and bring our hands to our back and actually make little fists behind our pelvis. So that's clear as mud. Interlace your hands, making little fists. There we go. Draw your shoulders up towards your ears. Draw your shoulder blades onto your back. Now, before we go forward though, let's make sure our knife edge of the foot is parallel to the short edges of our mat. So it might feel like our big toes are a little bit more inwardly rotated than normal. Great. And then from here, you'll draw the shoulder blades onto the back. You'll reach your heart up. And as you exhale, just fold forward halfway. Pause once you get halfway. Maybe you stay here with hands behind back. Maybe you lower your hands to the floor, but then you'll take your next exhalation to fold all the way in. Great. Now, once you're here, you're just going to pause. Your inner thighs spiral back. Maybe the arms lift away from your pelvis. Maybe they stay next to your pelvis. But we're just noticing, what does it feel like to have expression in our being, in our body? And we've got 3 more breath cycles here. So if you want to take a different arm variation, by all means, go ahead and do that. If you would like to bend one knee and then the other, by all means, go ahead and do that. It's interesting that in some situations, I was telling my therapist this, that we need permission to really express ourselves. We need permission to show up and give hugs or ask for hugs. In certain situations, we need permission to just feel like we can contribute, that we know how to contribute. And it's just a matter of us knowing that that permission is always there. We're the ones that grants it to ourselves. All right. If your hands are behind your back, bring them back to your pelvis and then lower them down your legs into the floor. From here, bring your hands underneath your shoulders and then inhale, halfway lift. As you exhale, hug the belly in. Bend your knees just a little bit. Send your butt back like a football player and your crown forward. And then draw one hand to one hip, another hand to the other hip. Pause. Imagine someone's pressing on your outer knees. Push your outer knees away from you and then inhale, come all the way up. Yep. Big exhale. Great. 3 breaths. If you're feeling dizzy, lift the sternum, drop the chin. And you just pause and you breathe. Great. Okay. Go ahead and step your feet together. Awesome. And then from here, I want you to bring all the weight into your right leg. Lift your left leg up. Keep the hands on the hips and externally rotate that left leg. Then plant that left foot either on the right shin, right calf, right thigh. Reposition if need be. You. And then hands come back to your pelvis. Now with hands there, I want you to see if you can push that left foot into your right leg, the right foot into the left leg, and then see if you can lengthen out through that inner left calf thigh thing. Hug in the outer hips and then hands can come to heart center. You might choose to stay right here. You might lower left hand on top of left knee. You might reach up through your right arm and then take your Hamilton here. But this time your Hamilton might become a lot more of a side bend. And again, to make that expression happen, you have to reach up first in order to side bend to the left, pressing that left foot into the right leg, right foot down into the floor. Nice job. Next in breath, go ahead and come up. Gently draw hands back to heart center, release your left leg, and then notice if you were breathing through any of that. Wobbling is okay, not breathing, not okay. So we gotta make sure we're still breathing. And then we'll try it all on the other side. So now your weight shifts to the left foot, your right leg floats up. And the first thing you wanna do is just notice that if you push down through that left big toe a lot, it makes it a lot easier. And then externally rotate that right leg and then plant the right foot wherever it wants to go and readjust wherever you wish to have it. Yep. And then wobbling is okay, but we want to see if we can lengthen from the inner right thigh to the right knee to the right calf, hug both outer hips in, and then hands might stay at heart center or right hand might come to top of right thigh, left arm might reach up, and you might take a little Hamilton here. So you're really reaching up and a little side bend perhaps towards the right. But in order to make that happen, you're reaching up first. Nice job, guys. Yeah. Next inhalation, gently draw the spine back to center. Hands come to heart center. Release that leg down and pause and breathe. Yeah, so today we're doing all the balances if we hadn't figured that out. So we're gonna see how that goes. And then you're just gonna pause and you're gonna breathe and you're gonna notice what you notice. What are some of the things that require a bit of balance in our life? I think being fully honest with other people is one of them while still remaining connected. And so we're just seeing how that works out. All right. So this time your left leg is going to cross over your right and you're going to bend the right knee and just come into eagle leg with that left leg. And then hands might stay at hips, hands might reach out. You might give yourself a hug with the left arm underneath, right arm on top. You might double wrap the arms. But wherever you are, you're pushing down into that big toe of the right foot. You're seeing if you can lift the elbows up so the heart is still lifted even as you're all bound up. And you're just pausing and you're breathing and you're noticing what you notice. Nice work, guys. Next inhalation, you'll gently unwind everything and return back to Tadasana mountain pose. And then you'll just pause. Go ahead and close your eyes and check in. What do you notice? What do you notice? Where's the breath? Where's the sense of prana, aliveness, alertness in you? Okay, let's go ahead and try the other side. So your left leg will be the standing leg now. The right leg will cross up and over. Maybe right toes will hook behind the back of your left calf as you bend that left knee. Arms might stay at hips. They might reach out to right and left. You might give yourself a hug with the right arm underneath. You might double wrap the arms, but you're just pausing and you're breathing. And again, the action is you're pushing down into that left big toe and you're pushing the left knee out to the right shin into the left knee, just like we did with our hands. Yeah, and then lift the elbows. Steady your breath. Yeah, nice job, guys. One more breath cycle here. Next in breath, unwind and come all the way back up. And then you'll just stand in Tadasana for a moment. And I invite you to do whatever movement you feel like you need to do at this moment in time. That might be some twists, that might be some shoulders, that might be anything that feels good to you, but you're giving yourself permission to do what feels of service to you. And you've got about 3 more breath cycles. Great. And then let's go ahead and come to a still neutral spot with your feet parallel towards each other in Uttanasana. I want you to just fold forward, or in Tadasana. I want you to just fold forward into Uttanasana. And when you get down there, again, make sure your pinky toe edges of your feet are parallel to the short edges of your mat. So it'll feel like the big toes are in a little bit. And then I want you to notice if you can just hang out here. Drawing the kneecaps up, but rooting down from the sit bones to the heels. Notice if you can let the head just hang. And you're pausing and you're breathing and you're just noticing what you notice here. Awesome sauce. Okay. Very gently, if the hands are anywhere but the floor, you'll release them to the floor. And then you will come up as you wish to, either rolling up or coming up through a straight, flat spine. Once you get to the top, pause, lift your sternum, drop your chin. Notice what the breath is doing now. Yawns are okay. We're just giving ourselves oxygen. So make sure there's enough oxygen moving through your body so that you can really express yourself. All right, this next one's a little weird. So you're going to shift your weight to your right leg. You're just going to hold on to your left ankle. So it's almost like we're going to dancer pose, but we're not. Right hand can stay on right hip. I want you to just kick down into your left foot until you feel a stretch happening on your left shoulder. So you're just kicking down. You can move your right ear towards the right. You can keep it exactly as it is, but you're just kicking down into that hand to find a nice stretch across the front of the chest. And then you're noticing if you're breathing. And my hypermobile people, your right shin, top of right shin is coming forward just a little bit so the leg doesn't lock out. Yep. And then you'll gently release that and we'll try the other leg. So left hand to left hip, right hand touches or holds right ankle, and you're just kicking that foot down. And then maybe dropping left ear over to the left. And the more you kick your foot away from you and maybe notice if you're not breathing and see if you can come back to that. It will just give you a nice stretch across the scalenes on the front of the, oh my God, what is that? Okay. Alexa understands. She said she gets it now. And then very gently, you'll release that. And then we'll come to face the top of our mat. Stand in Ut or Tadasana. Inhale, circle sweep the arms up and overhead. Exhale, fold forward at your hips. Uttanasana, forward fold. Go ahead and plant your hands and step yourself back to downward facing dog. And you're just going to pause here for a moment and breathe. So let's all take a look at our feet. Let's see if our feet can be, the pinky toe edges can be parallel to the outer edges of our mat. And then notice that once you found that, you can send your inner thighs back. Yep. Lift your outer hips up. And you've got 2 more breath cycles here. See if those armpits can still continue to lift up and back, and you press your front ribs into your back body. Yep. On your next exhale, just lower your knees to the mat and come to child's pose. Sweep your arms back around behind you for balasana, and you're just going to pause and you're going to breathe. Pause and you're going to breathe. So we started by asking, what is one thing you wish people knew about you, knew that you valued? And we got hugs, human connection. We got social engagement and responsibility. We got people that are doing of service to others, doing something, gathering for a group, dynamic purpose or reason and expression. I think these are things that we all value. And how can we show up moment to moment in ways that allow that inner knowing to be externally visible? Okay, let's go ahead and come forward, forearms and knees. I encourage you to first grab opposite elbow just to see shoulder distance apart, and then extend your hands forward. You might interlace the hands if that feels good to you. You might just have prayer hands where the pinky toes are tucked under, but you're going to just take pinky toes are tucked under, pinky fingers are pushing down. But then you're going to just take a few cats and cows here to notice how the spine is feeling. And in particular, I'd like you to notice where your shoulders are in relationship to your elbows. Ideally, shoulders, yep, are over your elbows. Great. And then the next time you round into that Halloween cat position, you'll pause and stay there. Keep lifting up through your inner armpits, yep, as you push down through the forearms, and you might tuck both toes under and lift your hips high. You might step one foot back and then the other and come into forearm plank. But wherever you choose to go, you're going to see if those inner armpits can lift up, if those inner thighs can reach back and apart, and the tailbone is reaching away from the sternum is reaching away from the tailbone. Forearms are pressing down, inner armpits are lifting up. Nice job. You got 2 more breath cycles here. At the end of your next exhalation, you'll meet back in child's pose. Three breaths. Just 3 breaths. Great. At the end of your next exhalation, start to walk your hands back towards your knees. Bring your spine up to sit, and then scoot your butt off to one side and extend both legs in front of you. Are we doing okay? Okay. Sit on a blanket if you feel like you need to / want to. And then we're going to take Gomukhasana. So let's start by just bending our left knee, planting the left foot on the floor, and then crossing the left foot to the outside edge of the right foot. Now, if you're pretty okay here, that right leg can stay straight. Otherwise, that right leg can swim back towards you. Great. And then just as we always do, pelvis lifts up, shift the pelvis to the right and put the pelvis back down. Now, once you've got that going on, check in with that left big toe, make sure it's pushing down. Hug the left knee in and start to rotate a little bit towards the right, to your left. And you're going to just pause here for a moment. We're in Ardha Matsyendrasana first, so half Lord of the Fishes. And we're just going to pause and we're going to breathe. So Matsyendrasana was an interesting character because according to Hindu mythology, he's the one that was sitting next to Vishnu, and he got all the teachings and all the lessons from Vishnu, Vishnu being one of the Trimurti. So he had all the information, but we want to know how we can have the information that we need, what we value, but still bring it out into expression, bring it out into life, bring it out into form. So Matsyendrasana asked Vishnu if he would let him incarnate, and at some point he did, just so he could experience life. He'd learned all about it. He wanted to actually have that embodied experience. Okay, gently unwind. stack your left knee on top of the right. Maybe right leg needs to come out. So the purpose of that is we can have all the information in the world, but we need to embody it. It needs to be part of our lived experience. So for us today, let's walk our right hand to the right. We're going to Hamilton once again with that left arm. I want you to think of me actually holding your left hip down as you reach up through your left arm, and take a little side bend to the right. You might find that if that right hand comes forward just a little bit, it allows the right shoulder to descend because you can bend that elbow a little bit more. And then you can find that if the right shoulder softens away from the right ear, you can reach up and out through that left arm, telescoping the ribs on the left side and creating more weight into that left hip. Does that feel okay, Jenny? Okay. And you're just pausing and you're breathing and you're pausing and you're breathing and you're anchoring into that left hip. You're reaching out through the left arm. Yeah, nice work. Now turn your gaze towards your left foot. Start to reach your left hand forward and to the top of your space, and you'll fold in to Gomukhasana. And you'll just pause. Your hands might come to the floor. You might find that you wish to have blocks.
Fold straight or
Fold straight. And then you're just pausing and breathing, and you're noticing what you notice on your outer hips here. Where is there sensation? If you would like to increase your sensation, you can walk your feet forward a little bit. Or if you would like to decrease sensation, you walk your feet back, but you're just pausing and you're breathing and you're noticing what's happening in those hips. Yeah, nice, steady, even breaths. Great. The end of your next exhalation, start to walk your hands back, start to walk your spine up. You might bring your hands back behind you to shift your weight back to uncross your legs and send both legs in front of you for Dandasana. And then any movement that feels good to you after all of that wound upness feels great. Yeah, okay. Let's go ahead and try the other side. So when you're ready, come to stillness, bend your right knee, draw the right foot in, cross the right foot over. And you might choose to stay here with that left leg being straight and strong. You might bend the left knee so the left foot's outside of the right hip. And then if we've done that, lift the pelvis up and slide it a little bit to the left. It just gives both sit bones a little bit more evenness. Press into the right big toe, hold onto the right calf or shin, and left arm will hug that as the right arm swims back. And you're just taking 3 to 5 breaths here. So we've all done this shape, and so sorry, Barbara, turn to the right. There you go. And we've all been here a number of times. So how do you find unique expression in this moment? How do you find more length through your vertebra? How do you find more engagement in the core? Yep. Okay. And on your next in-breath, you'll gently unwind. Stack your right knee on top of your left. And then notice if you need to adjust that. So sometimes it feels like you have to literally lift flesh out of the way. Left arm comes down, right arm comes up. And then we'll take a little side bend, but you reach up first to go to the left. And the left hand, if it comes forward just a little bit, often helps because then we can actually rotate around the spine instead of doing a weird twisty thing. And we'll just notice what would happen if that came here. Okay. And then you're just pausing and you're breathing. The left shoulder can soften away from the left ear. The right hip continues to root down as you reach out through the right hand. And with that left arm forward, you'll notice that that left elbow can bend as much as it needs to. The left ribs can come forward as much as they need to. And then that creates the space to telescope the ribs on the right side. And if you're feeling like you want more sensation on that right side, just bend your right elbow. So that's the top one. And the more you bend that, and let the elbow or the hand hang next to your head. Yep, so Jenny, let's draw the shoulder back. Yep. You can find that you can create a little bit more sensation just by letting this be heavy. Just adds a little bit more weight. Does that feel okay? And then when you're ready, your gaze will come down towards your right foot. You'll start to reach your right hand forward and sweep it around to the right until you come forward into a forward fold shape. And now you're in Gomukhasana, and you'll just pause and you'll breathe. And if there's enough sensation happening in your outer hips, your feet stay exactly as they are. If you'd like a little bit more, you inchworm both ankles away from your pelvis so they come forward. If you'd like a little bit less sensation, you inchworm both feet back and you just pause and you breathe. And place your arms wherever they need to be for you to feel like you can really inhabit and embody this pose. Great. Okay, on your next exhalation, start to walk your hands back. Bring your hands back behind you, uncross your legs and send your legs forward. Okay, last two things. So you might want to take the blanket out from underneath your bum and you might scoot forward. Okay, from here, let's put one foot on the floor and then the other foot on the floor. I want you to hold on to the tops of your shins and pull your heart forward like you're a flapper girl. Notice that your sacrum shifted forward with that. See if you can keep that, but bring your hands underneath you. See if you can keep the sacrum coming forward and lift one leg and then lift the other leg. So we'll see how that goes as we're in this Ardha Navasana. Flex through the feet, top of sacrum's coming forward. So Roberta, you can shift the weight back a little bit. The top is, yeah, there you go. And then you're just gonna pause and maybe you keep your hands here, maybe you reach the arms forward, but we're gonna breathe for 3. We're gonna breathe for 2, top of sacrum's forward, nice job. Breathe for 1, nice work. Next exhalation, hands hold on, feet touch down and slowly make your way onto your back. So Barbara, I'm curious to see how that goes for you. That tones your psoas. So that often helps with your sacrum and you'll just see how that goes later. And so you'll just pause. You're now on your back and you're just gonna see what that feels like. I can't speak for any of you, but I do know that I spend a lot of time and effort trying to overly direct communication, expression, authenticity in ways that might not be helpful. So as we're here for these last few breath cycles, I'd just like you to notice what you notice. How can you let you be you? How can you let all of you come to the forefront so that the rest of us can know and love and cherish that part of you, and let you know that we know and love and cherish that part of you? Okay, last two things. If your legs are straight, go ahead and bend your knees and plant your feet firmly on the floor. Once your feet are about hip distance apart, grab one of your blocks and slide it between your inner upper thighs and put it on whatever setting works for you. Make sure your pinky toe edges of your feet are parallel to the short edges of your mat, and then go ahead and bend your elbows like little robots. Press down into your head, push down into the shoulders, and see if you want to walk the shoulders underneath you a little bit more. And then push down into your feet, push down into your arms, push down into your head, lift your hips high. From there, you might walk the shoulders underneath you even more, and you might keep the arms bent. You might straighten the arms. We're going to stay here for about 5 to 10 breath cycles, and you're just pushing into the feet. You're hugging into that block. You're noticing that you can press down into the center of the skull behind where the ears and the eyes rest. And you're just pausing and you're breathing. How steady, how smooth, how consistent is your breath? Great. At the end of your next exhalation, you'll gently untuck the hands, untuck the shoulders, bring the pelvis back down and pause. Lower the arms and just breathe. Lower the arms and just breathe. Okay. Last shape. Go ahead and lift, well, take one of your other blocks or take the block between your thighs. And you're going to come to a supported bridge. And once you're in the supported bridge, so that block comes underneath your sacrum, you're going to choose how you wish to express and experience this shape. Some of you will stay right here, block between your thighs. Some of you will remove that block. Some of you will slide 1 foot forward along the floor and gentle opening of the front of the hip. Some of you will reach both feet forward, and some of you will reach both feet up towards the sky. But you're choosing based upon what helps you feel like you can fully inhabit your being. There's so many texts that talk about the greatest gift that we can give anybody is our full, undivided attention, full, undivided presence. Bhagavad Gita talks about that in its language. It's this notion that the only thing that you can do is your dharma, and it's better to do your dharma, however imperfectly you may do it, than it is to do another. There are lots of different texts that talk about this notion of just being our honest self. And yet, for all of us, connection is important. So, how do we balance the two? How do we let our values live out and form the connections that we have with others? How do they help us support that? So you've got about 3 more breath cycles doing whatever you're doing. So if you've got one leg forward, maybe you'll try switching to the other side so that you've got balance. If both legs are up or both legs are long, just take those last 3 breath cycles in a state of symmetry. And then gently, we'll all start to make our way back to that supported bridge. So if the legs are up, gently bend one knee and then the other and put the feet down. If the legs are long, slowly walk the feet back one at a time. And then before you go anywhere, you're going to first connect with the soles of your feet, feeling them press into the floor. Then you'll squeeze the backs of your legs, your glutes, and then you'll lift your hip away from the block. And then you'll slide your pelvis back down to the floor and pause. Now, when your pelvis comes to the floor, untuck the shoulders even more if you need to. And then check in. Where is it that your body wants to go now? Do you want to go to constructive rest or do you want to go to Supta Baddha Konasana? But you allow your body to go to whichever shape will allow you to connect with you. Then you'll allow yourself to become more aware of what other shapes might be inviting you at this moment in time to connect with you. So Shavasana might be calling. You might need to do a few more things, but give yourself permission to really honor what's coming from inward. Great. And if you're still in movement, by all means, you do you. If you're ready to go to your final resting pose, please make your way there. And I encourage you to make sure you've set yourself up really well so that you really can drop in. And in our final shape today, the invitation is to pay attention to the dissolving of sensation. So your awareness just rests on the body, it rests on the breath, and you're just noticing everything just sort of dissolve. In practical terms, it really is just noticing when a sensation arises. You stay with it as long as it's having life. And you notice that its attention or your attention to it allows it to start to change, to transform. And you just continue to stay observing your own sensation for the next few moments. I'll let you know when it's time to come out. Return your awareness to your breath. And still just staying in stillness, just notice what you notice. What is the current state of your being? If there's any part of you that longs to linger in this shape for a few more moments, few more breaths, by all means, hang out here. When you are ready to move forward with your day, you'll allow small movement to re-enter into the body to express whatever feels like it is alive, alert, awake within you now. Gently, you'll start to make your way over to your right side into a soft and semi-fetal position. Gently draw yourself up to a tall, comfortable seat. And please take the opportunity to elevate your bum on a block or a blanket, anything that can let the spine be long, the breath be easy. And you'll take the first few breaths here to really fidget around until you feel comfortable. And we're going to end today with a few rounds of Nadi Shodhana. So Using your right hand, you'll bring your right palm to your face, thumb to the outside edge of right nostril, ring finger, pinky finger to the outside edge of left, and either middle finger and index finger tucked in or towards the forehead. Let the left hand rest on the left thigh, either facing up or facing down, whatever feels best to you. And you'll exhale all the breath from your mouth. Close your mouth, inhale just through your left nostril, closing the right. Top of the inhalation, close the right and exhale out through the left. When you need to, you'll draw the breath in through your left. Top of your inhalation, close your left and exhale out through your right. And you'll just take 3 more rounds like that on your own. And as you're working with your breath, we're working with Surya Bedna. Allow yourself to just notice what you notice about breathing through the right versus through the left. See if you can smooth out the breath. And then the next time the breath exits through your right nostril, you'll lower your right hand. And you'll just pause and you'll breathe. And you'll just observe and notice what you notice. So Surya Bedna, there's Chandra Bedna and Surya Bedna. They refer to either the lunar or the solar aspect. And so we took breath in through the sun aspect, the invigorating, enlivening aspect. And you'll just notice how that feels for you now as compared to how we normally do it. And then just observe what's alive and alert for you now. What are those things that you really value and cherish? And how can you start to create steps to live more in alignment with those values? Go ahead and draw hands to heart center, Anjali Mudra. Press your palms into each other. Receive your thumbs into your sternum and lift your heart towards your hands. Gently exhale all the breath from your mouth. Take a big breath in. Audible breath out. Inhale for Om. Join if you'd like. Om. That light, that expression, those connections within me, honor and salute that light, that expression, and those connections within each of you. Namaste.